We have some pretty urgent breaking news for all of you. US intelligence has indicated Iran is readying an imminent ballistic missile attack against Israel. US official tells NBC News. Now, this would be significantly different than the drone strike attack that you've seen a couple of months ago. This is in a totally different ballpark. The difference is really the timing and the interceptability, okay? Now, drones travel very slow. It took hours for those drones to reach Israel last time around. It was more of a show of force, if you will. It was more of a, hey, we have the capacity to attack you, Israel, if you want, to go down that road, basically. And even the cruise missiles, they only travel at about 500 miles per hour, give or take. Whereas ballistic missiles could reach Israel in 12 minutes. They travel at excess of 4,000 miles per hour, thus making them much, much more difficult to intercept. And a ballistic missile attack is much more likely to actually cause damage and to reach their targets. US Embassy in Israel directs all US government employees and their family members to shelter in place until further notice, a post on the embassy website shows. It's also being reported that the US official that broke this news says that any direct attack on Israel by Iran will, quote, carry severe consequences for Iran. The US also says we are actively supporting defensive preparations to defend Israel against this attack. Iran's suspected planned attack came as Israeli ground forces invaded South Lebanon as part of an attack on Hezbollah, the militant group backed by Iran. The number of Israeli troops who have entered Lebanon is in the low hundreds, and an Israeli official told NBC News. So this is definitely weighing on markets at the time of recording this video. The Nasdaq is down about 2%, the Russell 2000 down 1.5%, S&P's down 1.36%, and the Dow is down almost 1%. At the same time, the VIX is soaring up 19% today and almost crossing above 20. And with this presumable attack going to happen, as the US says, imminently, we will see. We've heard this before and nothing has happened. This time does feel a little bit different. Equity markets are definitely responding to it. There are fears of a larger conflict if Iran does attack Israel, especially if they use more ballistic missiles, because those are much harder to shoot down and there could actually be some real damage done. And after all, geopolitical tensions have really been the number one thing that is on Wall Street's mind as of lately. Multiple surveys have asked the question, what's the greatest risk to markets right now? And every survey over the past couple of months have said geopolitical risks. So it makes sense why equities would sell off due to this escalation of conflict. And again, the bad thing about this is, you can have a launch to impact of only 15 minutes. So it really wouldn't take long for things to go downhill for markets. And really, if you are an investor in markets and you're trying to figure out how much damage could this do to stocks, you really got to think about the escalation. If Iran attacks Israel, could there be more selling? Yes. Does Israel attack Iran back? That's where you get a little bit more uncertainty, a little bit more fear, a little bit more selling. And if this were to turn into an all-out conflict, then the implication is, does the US get involved? If we do, to what extent? And that really will dictate where markets go. Typically, geopolitical conflicts and wars, they're buying opportunities for investors because they do send markets lower, but eventually Wall Street says, is this really a big deal? And we kind of get over it. Now, right now, with markets being where they are, I don't think this is a buying opportunity as of now, but if things do get worse for markets, then that could definitely turn out to be a buying opportunity. The other thing that is affecting our markets today is this historic strike that is underway at U.S. ports and the impact on global supply chains that could be huge. Lisa Denai, managing director of National Industrial Research at Newark, told CNBC on Monday, quote, "If this strike goes on for a couple of days, the implications are, well, rather short-lived, I'd say. If this drags on, it has cascading impacts throughout the global economy, not just the U.S. economy. So the unpredictability of this issue here is really in play, and it has the magnitude to really throw a giant wrench in global supply chain." She said that even a minor disruption of just a couple of days could have really significant implications for certain industries, including pharmaceuticals, auto, and manufacturing. Which manufacturing is just not in a good place anyways, so that's the last thing that sector of the economy needs. And there is this multiplying effect with the port strike, whereas if you're shut down for one day, for an example, it's really backing things up for 4 or 5 days. If you're shut down for 2 days, it's really backing things up for 8 to 14 days, and so on and so forth. And that's why every day of this port strike does matter for the U.S. economy. And I think right now is like the last time, we should be striking. Like this is the last thing the U.S. economy needs at a time in which it's already weak. And there are estimates out there from JP Morgan, for an example, that this port shutdown is going to have around a $5 billion drag on economic activity per day. But that's not really including local economies of businesses that rely on those port workers, whether it's restaurants, convenience stores, localized economies. That's not including the disruption to manufacturing that we could see, to other different businesses. Just the sheer amount of things not coming into the country or not leaving the country anymore is a significant deal. But when you look at the bigger picture here, it's really hard to know the exact damage that is being done, but we do know it is very significant. So I do think this Israel-Iran news is top of mind for investors today, but right behind it, I think it's this port strike. I think people were slapped with a little bit of reality this morning, as workers did go on strike last night at 12:01 a.m. Now, there is many people saying that Joe Biden will have to step in and stop this strike if it does last more than a couple of days, and that will probably happen, but the Port Workers Union has already said if they are forced to work, there's going to be less getting done. So either way, it's going to be a problem. We did actually have some good news today. ISM manufacturing PMIs came in at 47.2, the same as last month. So you didn't miss the estimate, which was 47.5, but it's not plummeting, further. It just came in the same as last month, which I think was a welcome sign. Manufacturing employment is plummeting, came in at 43.9. The estimate was 47, and last month came in at 46, so that's getting worse. Manufacturing new orders came in better than last month, in line with estimates at 46.1. ISM manufacturing prices came in at 48.3. The estimate was 53.3. So prices are falling in line with employment falling, and new orders remaining really unchanged from last month. So overall, ISM manufacturing did not come in good today. JOLTS job openings was really the bright spot. Last month, you were revised up to 7.71 million job openings. The estimate was 7.65 million, and we came in at 8.04 million. So more job openings available. That will likely have a supporting kind of tailwind to the unemployment rate. So as the JOLTS job openings have fallen, the unemployment rate has risen as more people are entering into the workforce and trying to find jobs. If job openings go up again, and more people continue to come into the workforce, that will help at least not, cause the unemployment rate to go up even more. So that's a short update I have for you guys. Some of the big events happening this morning. We will be back around 4 p.m. today to discuss these things in a little bit more depth, give you an update to anything that has changed, and go over some of our favorite stocks together, because we are seeing some big moves today. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.